Like a leaflet?
Yeah. I hope this guy gets released as soon as possible.
Thank you. Do you want to be on camera? Oh, we do. Yeah. Free your time?
Today we're going to talk about Julian's latest hearing before the High Court. You may have heard the two judges. He's asking leave for his final appeal. And he put forward 9 grounds for that appeal. Fortunately, the judges have accepted 3 of the grounds, and unfortunately they've rejected 6 of the grounds. All the grounds are relevant to the case, but the one that stands out as glaringly obvious that they're denying his right to appeal on is that he wishes in the appeal court to deliver evidence that the CIA drew up plans to assassinate him. When this was revealed by a whistleblower in the CIA, Mike Pompeo didn't deny that was the CIA's plans. And instead he said, in confirmation of the fact that it was the truth, is that they should find the person who leaked this information and charge them with treason. Think about the perversion of our legal system that's going on here. The inversion of our legal system. Our common law legal system is based on the fundamental premise that we are all innocent. Every single one of us are innocent. We are all innocent people, unless we commit a crime and a jury of 12 of our peers find us guilty beyond reasonable doubt. And it is said that it is better to let a guilty man go than it is to incarcerate an innocent man. In other words, we should err on the side of liberty, freedom. But instead, the British legal system, the American legal system, and politicians and media, all of them, the judiciary, the government, and I hate calling them the media because they're not the fourth estate. They don't represent us. They don't hold our politicians and our judges to account when they act corruptly, which is what they are doing openly and brazenly with Julian Assange. If there is any doubt in anybody's mind as to the truth behind the matter of Julian Assange, it's all existing in court-sworn documents. The truth is out there. All the truth is out there. And it all contradicts the lies that have been told by our so-called media. And I'm not going to use the word media anymore. I'm going to use the word that best describes them. They are propagandists. They are spreading lies. They are conning us. They are fooling us. They are spinning us a story that bears no relation with the truth. And it is no more obvious than with the story of Julian Assange for the last 14 years. Since the 7th of December 2010. 2010. They have abused, well, they've denied Julian all rights. He has been assumed to be guilty. And he has been held in one form or another now in his 14th year. The last 5 years have been in high security, solitary confinement, torture in His Majesty's prison, Belmarsh, nicknamed Hellmarsh, the Guantanamo Bay of the United Kingdom. 5 years. An innocent man, an award-winning man, an award-winning journalist, an Australian award-winning journalist. 5 years torture. 13 years, 14 years of persecution. Reputational persecution and legal persecution. It's time to stand up, folks. If we let this one go through to the keeper, it's all over for journalism. All we'll hear from is the propagandists. And then we'll know we are truly embedded in a tyranny. And we have no say whatsoever. Julian has been standing for you now for, well, since 2000, well, all his life if you ask me. But in 2006, he started WikiLeaks and he invented the anonymous Dropbox. He invented the device that gave whistleblowers anonymity, that gave whistleblowers the courage to speak up against their corrupt bosses. That's what they've been doing. The amount of information that WikiLeaks holds now is mind-blowing. That's probably keeping Julian alive. But as long as they hold this man, there are going to be very few investigative journalists that put their head above the parapet and show up the criminal behaviour in our government, our judiciary, or our so-called fourth estate. So folks, I urge you today, if you do nothing else, sign the petition, the big one. Philip Adams, change.org. All you have to do is type in 3 words into your favourite search engine, Julian Assange petition, and look for or you can come and get one of these flyers from me. It's on that. But if not, just Google Julian Assange petition. The Philip Adams change.org petition will be one of the first that comes up. It's got nearly 800,000 signatures. It is before the International Criminal Court in The Hague, where we have taken this matter, and we are not only seeking Julian's freedom, but we are seeking to prosecute those that have been responsible for holding this man illegally for 14 years. And the list grows every day. The list gets longer and longer, and they keep changing they keep passing the buck. That's what we saw with this request for leave to appeal by Julian. That the Poms have just passed it to the Yanks, you know. The potato's getting too hot to hold, so they've got to quickly pass the buck.
Wishing everyone a good Friday, good Friday. We've got poor Julian locked up in Belmarsh Prison for almost 5 years. In solitary confinement for most of the time, 23 hours a day. I know many of us have pets, and we wouldn't consider putting our pets in a room for 23 hours a day, every day, for 5 years. If we did that, we'd be in a lot of trouble, and so we should, because that's not how you treat another being. But Julian faces another 5 years And I read a headline the other day. And the headline said, Julian was thrown a lifeline by the judges this week. And it reminded me of that song, She's a Brick and I'm Drowning Slowly. They've really thrown Julian a brick, because what they've done, they've said to the US legal team, you need to provide 3 assurances. So they're giving them directions, which is just outrageous. And those 3 things that they've said they want is assurances that he won't be given the death penalty, that he won't be discriminated against because of his nationality, he's an Australian, and that he would be treated like an American citizen. He'd be given their rights. So they've handed this to the US legal team on a platter. But Julian's team said in the appeal that Julian would be sent to a country that spied on him, spied on his lawyers, spied on doctors. They took the computers, took information off that, off phones. How could he possibly get any sort of justice in the US under those conditions? And not only that, but it came out in the court case that the US had planned his murder, that they were going to steal him from the Ecuadorian embassy and kill him. I don't know about you, but I find it outrageous that the UK could even consider sending an Australian journalist who won the Walkley Award, the highest award for journalism in this country, and the Sydney Peace Medal for the same work that the US want him to die in a prison in that country for. How could they possibly send him to a country that planned his murder? So again, we ask that everyone gets behind this. They contact their local members, they speak to their friends. Don't read the headlines. He wasn't given a lifeline this week. He was given a brick to a drowning man. And we as Australians should be outraged, and I am. So please don't let this poor Australian citizen die in a jail in either London or the US. We need our government to stop with the namby-pamby platitudes. Action is required. Thank you.
Welcome to the 227th Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gathering. We're here every Friday during summer from 5 to 7. As soon as daylight saving stops, we'll be going back to 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. There is a small number of people who wish to exert complete control over humanity. This small number of people is becoming widely known as the parasite class. Through corrupt means, the parasite class already exerts a high degree of control over our systems of governance, but it seeks more. The free speech rights of Julian Assange don't suit the parasite class. Free speech for people generally doesn't suit the parasite class. The First Amendment of the US Constitution, which was set up to protect free speech in the US, absolutely does not suit the parasite class. Julian Assange is being psychologically tortured in the United Kingdom because he dared to use his free speech rights to publish important public interest truth about US war crimes, torture, and corruption. The request by the US to extradite Julian from the UK is a direct attack on the First Amendment of the US Constitution. Free thinking and speaking men and women are powerful. Free thinking and speaking men and women have the capacity to rise up and defeat the parasite class at any moment. The parasite class uses propaganda and mass psychological manipulation to maintain its control. The psychological torture of Julian is a crucial part of a psychological war being waged by the parasite class against all of us. This week, the UK High Court announced that Julian might be given the right to appeal his extradition to the US due to the possibility that his First Amendment rights would not be respected if he was extradited to the US. And because he's an Australian citizen and not a US citizen. It was further suggested that Julian might be allowed to appeal his extradition because the death penalty remains a possibility in the United States. The court has given the US 3 weeks to provide diplomatic assurances that Julian's First Amendment rights would be respected and that he would not be subjected to the death penalty. So it appears that at the High Court hearing, which occurred last month, it was demonstrated that Julian did have grounds to appeal his extradition, since his free speech rights would not be respected and that he could receive the death penalty if extradited. but in true show trial fashion, the court has given the US a second chance to diplomatically assure the court that the US is a suitable and safe extradition destination. The whole decision is bizarre, as Stella Assange accurately described it. We need to keep in mind that the US case against Julian Assange is, by its very nature, an attack on the First Amendment right to publish the truth. The UK is holding Julian Assange in a high-security prison precisely because the US has requested his extradition for publishing the truth. For the High Court of the UK to seek assurances that Julian's First Amendment rights will be respected in the US is ridiculous and should have been laughed out of court. But as Stella Assange has speculated, the diplomatic assurances will give the UK courts political cover to proceed. If the UK High Court was sincere about protecting Julian's First Amendment right to freely publish the truth, it could simply block Julian's extradition. The only sincere and reasonable way for the US to assure the British court of its willingness to respect Julian's First Amendment rights is to drop the entire case. As I was saying, the only sincere and reasonable way for the US to assure the British High Court of its willingness to respect Julian's First Amendment rights is to drop the entire case and insist on Julian being granted immediate freedom. This is an orchestrated real-life soap opera designed to distract us from our task of building unity and freeing Julian Assange. When we can show the level of unity that will free Julian Assange, everything else will fall into place. Spread the truth to build unity and help free Julian Assange. Free! Free! Julian Assange! Free! Free! Julian Assange! Free! Free! Julian Assange! Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Whoa! Thank you. Good on you.
Who's Julian?
An award-winning Australian journalist that's been locked up for 14 years.
What did he write about?
He wrote about American war crimes.
Interesting.
Yes, folks, that's the beginning and end of the story. Our Australian award-winning journalist, a life member of the MEAA and Gold Logie Walkley Award winner, has been locked up for 14 years with no rights, no due process, They have trashed the Westminster legal system for one man. Think about it. The entire reputation of the British legal system, once regarded and respected as the gold standard, is rubbish. It's not worth the paper that it's printed on. It's fake, it's false, it's a narrative. You've been lied to, and our Julian's been locked up for 14 years, and this incarceration is going to continue year after year until we stand up and say, no! Enough! How dare you! So all you politicians out there and you so-called media mongrels, we're coming for you. You will not get away with this. Our petition is before the International Criminal Court, and we're not going to settle for Julian's freedom. We are not going to settle until you are incarcerated. You mongrels that are perverting our system of law. How dare you?
Free Julian Assange. Thank you. It's true, have you?
Free Julian. Journalism is
We are all Assange.